What's up, Vybez fam? Welcome to another episode of Vybez Shortz, a conversation series. I have my lovely, beautiful guest today, Miss Taylor Gordon. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Peta. I am the host of Vybez. Sometimes I just forget to introduce myself because I'm like, oh, it's my show. But for those who do not know who I am, my name is Peta Vaughan. I am the host of this series, normally the host of Vybez with Peta Vaughan, but we're doing a Vybez Shortz conversation series based on the times, so we can offer some hope and some expertise from my different guests on how to get through these times. So thank you, Taylor, for being here. I'm so happy to have you here so we can talk about food and all the things.
Absolutely.
And before we get started, I just wanted to share a little bit about my connection to you. And so the guests can have an idea of who you are and how we met.
Yes.
And yeah, so I know you through Lou Madden,
Mm-hmm.
who also on this series. Go check that episode out. And we met at one of Lou's birthday parties, right? Like a couple years back, maybe like 2 years, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. It was at her. I first met you at Adam Roa's event in Venice. Yeah.
Wow. See, I don't remember that. There was a lot of people there. Forgive me.
I know.
But I remember meeting you. For sure, we had conversations at Lou's birthday party. And so I know you through Lou, and we've just followed each other, commented here and there. And then recently, you're a holistic health coach. You are my holistic health coach. And recently, I had been following this path of like listening to my body and what it needs. And I wanted a gentle approach to doing a vegetarian diet because I feel like that's what I'm called towards. Because everyone's like, are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? For some reason, I look that way. I don't know what that means, but maybe because I'm slender built, like I don't eat animals, or because my name is Peta. I don't know, but whatever the reason is, I would get that very often, and so I took that as a sign to move towards that. And my body, I'm going through a lot of changes, so my body is like, okay, we got to change the inside out, from the inside out as well, not just the spiritual journey, but the physical. And then I started. I was talking to Lou, and I was like, hey, Taylor's coming up in my psyche, because I know you're a holistic health coach, and I actually wanted to just ask you some questions about food and how I could approach this vegetarian diet. And so then Lou introduced us or messaged us in a group chat, and then we started talking, and you were like, yo, you have been on my psyche too. And I'm like, what, for real? That's what's up. It's crazy. To me is so crazy that you were on my mind and I was on your mind. And so we ended up talking, and I really didn't know exactly what you did until you told me that this is your approach. You do coaching, and I was like, okay, I'm in. I think this is what I need. So that's how we got together, and we were a great match, and it was like divinely led, whatever you want to call it. And so now we're in this food journey together. You're guiding this food journey together. And I think as I said, I didn't know anything about your work before, but now that I'm in your program, I think you are amazing. I think just the talent, the gifts that you offer in this program for me has been such a game changer. And just the way your coaching style, you know how to hold space. And I so appreciate that about you. And you're so supportive. And yeah, food is hard, I feel. Food is a challenging place. And so I'm just glad to have you through this. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the details of this food journey. But that's how I met you. This is how I know you. I'm glad to be on this journey with you. And I'm glad you're here on this conversation series with me. And I'm going to stop talking and have you introduce yourself and what it is that you do, because you do it the best. So please.
Oh, no. Well, thank you so much. That was like beyond for an introduction. So I'm just like humbled and all of the things. But thank you. It's always an honor for me to be able to work with people who know their worth. And so because they know their worth, they are so in for trusting me and trusting themselves, and they are able to gain the results that they need and that they're looking for. It's absolutely like absolutely divine, the meeting, all of it. So it's a blessing to be in that space also for you. I wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, thank you. So as Peta said, Taylor Gordon of Divinely Wholesome. I started Divinely Wholesome a couple years ago, after I went through my health coaching training through Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And this was also following me being able to work under my functional medicine doctor. And she was able to kind of like open up this path for me before I even knew that it was something that I was called to do, wanted to do, led to do. Like before I knew any of this was going to be coming out of me, she kind of like opened my eyes up and just believed in me and kind of like threw me into the fire to start on the journey. And I rejected it for a while, just without even realizing it. I just had this like big resistance because I just didn't think it was for me. And it just kept coming back and kept coming back. And to kind of take a little bit of a step back. So I was in my doctor's care because I myself deal with autoimmune and autoimmune disease, mixed connective tissue disease. And so it's one of those spaces where we've heard so much about it, especially in the last couple of years, in terms of people dealing with chronic illness. And when I was first diagnosed, no one was talking about it. No one was saying anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. I think I knew maybe one person like in my space that was kind of like mentioning this term, and I still didn't really know what they were saying. And so I went down the path of finding my doctor back in like 2012. And from there, it led me down this path of being able to really take my story and use that to be able to help someone else. So the years to follow, I went through my training with Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And then I became a certified holistic health coach through them, as well as through my functional medicine doctor, Dr. Wellhausen of Loma Linda. So I had kind of like the balance of both worlds there, where I was living it and I was learning it on the other side, for other people. And it kind of just like came together in this beautiful way. And so when I stepped into creating Divinely Wholesome, I really just wanted people like me, those that were in the midst of dealing with chronic illness, autoimmunity, couldn't really figure out how their food was supposed to match up with the lifestyle they were going to live. I wanted them to know and feel like they were whole, regardless. I wanted them to feel like, I know for me, the language that I heard so often around this space of being ill was as if, we were broken from the start. And I hated that. I hated that narrative. It never sat well with me. It never aligned with me. It never felt right to me. And so I went through a bunch of different names, and then I just heard Divinely Wholesome. And I was like, divinely, we are whole, no matter what, no matter the illness, no matter the body, no matter the struggle, no matter the challenge. And so now I've really dedicated my life to helping those who are in a space of just trying to figure out their path and kind of like managing. They're in a space of like micromanaging diagnosis or specific challenges in their life and not actually able to maintain wellness. And so I help people achieve whole life healing through being able to maintain wellness in their lives.
Yes, and yes. Wow. Well, eloquently put, because that's things that you incorporate in the program for me. So thank you for that. I'm glad I'm glad you decided and accepted that for yourself, because I feel like you are really good at it. And after this, I hope a lot of people get to look more into you and working with you, because I have to say it's been life-changing so far. We're what, 3 months in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah. So yeah, you have this unique approach to, well, the methods that you offer, and it's the first time I've heard it. So you have this unique approach to food where it's like primary foods and then there's secondary,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you shared that information with me, I was like, whoa, I didn't put the two together or think of
Yeah.
like all these different areas of my life being primary food. So
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to explain more of that and how it works, the primary and the secondary foods, so people
Sure. Yeah.
get an idea of what that is.
Yes. So I know when people hear it at first, they're like, I'm sorry, what? But I just need to eat the food on my plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I kind of, it was interesting because, like I said, I went through IIN, my schooling, my training in 2016. So 2016 to 2017.
Mm-hmm.
But even before that, I was in a position where I was like, yes, food is important. And there has to be more to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to spend my life consumed every second of every day worrying about what I'm going to eat, because that doesn't feel good. Like, I don't want to live like that. It feels stressful and burdensome, and I don't like that. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, so and then luckily, like when I went through IIN, then they they gave me the language for what I had been feeling, which was primary food versus secondary food. And I was like, this is what I have been feeling. This is what I've been trying to articulate. They were just able to kind of like put a bow on it. So we have our primary foods, which we kind of break down into 4 different categories. So we have our relationships, we have our physical activity, we have our spiritual grounding, and we have our career. And these are the 4 areas of our lives where if we are not pouring into one, it's more than likely that the other 3 will begin to crumble.
Mm.
And if we are not pouring into all, it is most likely that food is trying to fill spaces of those 4, when those 4 should really be filled by things that our soul is calling for.
Mm.
So when our soul is calling for something and we're needing to be grounded, or we're needing to kind of like, we're being called to push for our career, or advocate for ourselves, or make that phone call to, the friend or the family member in that relationship, or get moving and active in our body, and we're not listening to that call, it is so likely that we are going to use our secondary food, which is the food on our plate, to try to fill those spaces. And next thing you know, we're in a position where food is all consuming and it's in the driver's seat, and now we just feel completely out of control.
Yeah.
So I really like to help people get into a place where they are pouring in to those 4 places consistently, so that they find themselves, and we find ourselves in a position where we're like, oh, once I'm pouring in here, like food is it's there's so much ease.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a struggle. It's not hard. It's not difficult, like, so it's a really beautiful experience to have.
No, it is. I can definitely speak to that. I think for me, I'm still working through that. That's still, even though you introduced it, that's still a whole new concept for me, because before I wasn't really connected or aware on a from even a subconscious level of like the foods I was picking and why I was picking them, right? Choosing them. And so now that you've brought that into my awareness through this program, I am definitely now more conscious of the food choices that I make and why I'm making them. And even you introduced this craving journal that you've introduced. And that's also been interesting. I haven't started it. I think I've been in the mental space of it, like just trying to be aware of why I'm choosing this food. And if I'm choosing it, am I filled with in the other 4 primary food areas, right? In the primary areas. And so that's so interesting. And thank you for introducing that. I think a lot of the viewers will get a kick out of that, because I've never heard of it before, but it makes so much sense. And so
Yeah.
just being aware of your choices from like the inside out instead of just on the routine. This is what I eat, because that before we even jumped into this program, that's what I was doing. I was like, this is what I eat every day. I don't really think about it. It's just routine, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
now,
it takes the pressure off of the food itself.
yeah, that too. So it's just a whole different awareness to be in, and I'm grateful that you introduced that whole method process. Not really sure what to call it, but yeah. So yes, I want to talk to you about your method of detox, because people have this idea of detox. I did as well, which is like you go on these juice cleanses, or you go on like no food or water diet, right? Like a whole that's
Starve yourself.
right. Starve yourself, really. Like to cleanse your body of all the things, just don't put anything in it, right?
Right.
Or just special juices or whatever the case is. So I think myself, along with many people, are have been aware of this old school method of detox, or this method of a method of detox, and you've introduced this whole other method of detox that I was like, whoa, I get to eat and feed myself. Because I was like, I'm gonna be mad at you. Like, I don't know about this detox, and you're like, no, you get to fuel your body, Peta. And I'm like, okay. So please talk to me about your style of detox, introducing that to people, and what that looks like, and or even the one that you gave me, because I just finished a 7-day detox to transition into vegetarianism. That's a word. Is that a word? I don't even know.
Today it is.
To transition into like the no meat diet, and yeah, that was something. I can't even go down that rabbit hole because it just a lot of shit came up for me. But it was very cleansing, and I was able to let go of a lot of things, a lot of wounds, a lot of traumas that came up. But it was with fueling myself. It wasn't without food, you know? So please speak a little bit on that, and educate us a little bit more, please, on this.
Yeah. So this is always an exciting part for me, because a lot of people will come into the program or working with me and they're like, I just need you to tell me what to eat. Like, just tell me what to eat. It's fine. I got it, and I'm like, okay, let's slow down for a second.
Right.
Let's find out what's underneath, right? And then when we are able to get to the detox portion of the program, I really, first things first is I do my best to make sure that we've set a very safe stage for it first. Like, we've walked through a lot like we're 3 months in and just getting to the detox portion, which is really just getting to like the food part of the journey, right? And it's because it really means a lot to me, and it's really important to me that my clients know, like, I can do this with ease. I'm safe. My body is safe. I'm trusting. I'm open. I'm not just jumping into this thing, not knowing what the heck is going on, and then stripping my body of every food I've ever known. Like, that, to me, that has never felt safe. And so I'd never wanted to do that to anyone else. Now, that's not to say that other methods, like, there isn't a place for them. I just know that for me and how I like to function through life, like, it didn't feel good for me. So I was like, there has to be other people that feel that same way, right?
Yeah.
So with the detox, and this is something that I was like fortunate and blessed enough to be able to learn from my doctor. I worked on this with her, and so that's why it's so like jam-packed and incredible. Like, I give Dr. Wellhausen props all the time because she's amazing. But it really is a nutrient dense whole foods detox. And so, like you said, a lot of times people will think of detoxes as just stripping their bodies of everything, almost like fasting and going as long as you can without eating until you're at your breaking point. And then next thing you know, you're just like, like, I'm here, I've emerged. But a lot of times what I saw happening with people is that they would go through this like fast or this detox, or this cleanse. And then by the end of however long it was like they were raging and just like ate everything in their sight without any rhyme or reason. And I really want to always be able to empower people with choice to know why and understand why they're making the choices that they're making. And so what's really special about this detox is that it's nutrient dense, and we are fueling and supporting our bodies the whole way through. I really absolutely believe that food is healing. And so for me and the people that I know that I'm working with, I want them to feel that they can fill their bodies and heal them with those foods. They don't have to strip their bodies of them in order to heal it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. So take us a little bit through the detox of what that would look like if you were to, because I mean, I'm aware of what it looks like. I've been through it.
Yeah.
For me, I think maybe 2 or 3 days in, I'm one of those people like give me some structure, give me a list, and I will follow it, and then it's fine because I just have my own frustration with food, right? I'll just eat, and I feel like the diet that you gave me, the detox that you gave me, probably like the 3rd day in, I realized there was just no carbs and no sugar involved in it. I don't know I'm not sure how I missed that, but I was just like, okay, I'm gonna cook this, and this is what it is, and I'm just following the list.
Yeah.
So again, that's my own stuff and not being aware of what it is that I'm consuming, right? That's the same old method that I've been using for years until I realized, I was like, holy crap, this has no bread, no carbs, no sugar. It's all greens. So so tell us a little bit about like what's involved in the diet for this detox, and what do you think is the safest method of detoxing would be? I'm sure you don't recommend the water fast or
like lemon, cayenne,
yeah,
pepper.
because you believe be fueling themselves during a detox.
Don't have people out here thinking that I like bamboozle them and don't tell them what's in it. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh shoot, I can't eat it.
No, you did. You gave me the whole list, ingredients, recipes, all of the things. To me, I was just like, okay, I could do this. We just go follow it and call it a day. But no, it's way more to it than that.
I get how that can happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're just like, okay, good, I can do it. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. But yes, so it is, again, we're working with whole foods, right? So there's a nutrient dense space that we're moving into. So we have, it's a high protein, high healthy fats. So we have, and greens, I'm sorry. So high protein, high healthy fat, and greens. So we have no sugar, no processed ingredients. We have no wheat, and we have no dairy, and there's very little grain in there. So we're not dealing with like, a bunch of rice or pasta or, even grain filled breads or anything like that. So the only grains that are going to be in there is, I believe there's one recipe with mild quinoa, and then there's like a steel cut oats recipe. But the purpose of that is so that your body knows how to function with whole foods. And by whole foods, the simplest definition is literally just foods that have not been processed and not been refined. Like, that's really just the simplest definition. So whole, real food. That's really all it is. So we're not dealing with processed sugars. We're not dealing with additives. We're not dealing with anything that you wouldn't be able to read as far as an ingredient. Like, that's literally the simplest way we can break it down. I know a lot of people will get it's confusing. Like, there's so much information out there about food. And so just breaking it down to the simplest form, we're just dealing with foods that are real, that are whole, no additives, no processing, no have not been refined.
Yeah. Cool. I feel that a lot, I feel like going into this detox, I was just like, okay, my body's gonna just release whatever it needs to release. And I know we had a conversation about that because you were like, this diet this detox is meant to have your body let go of what it doesn't need. Like, that was the whole purpose of the detox. And going into it, I was like, okay, that's what I've known for so long. I'm like, okay, without food, then your body will transform and go through things and release things emotionally. So with food, whole foods, as you said, I was not expecting to go through what I went through or my body to go through and release all the things that it did. Because I was like, oh, I'm consuming food, so it should be okay. But no, it really did. It was an emotional journey as well because I love me some sugar. Love. And
Yes, you are
I,
not alone.
right? And especially during these times, right? And I often ate, because we're all emotional eaters, I'm sure, at this point in time. And I often ate a lot of like bread and carbs and rice and all of those things. So releasing it within the 7 days, my body was like, girl,
Well,
right. It like opened me like wide open, and I did not expect that. So in case anyone is feeling like, okay, well, this detox includes food and it's not going to be as transformative as doing a cleanse without food or a cleanse or special, it does work. There. I went through it and I'm at the other side of it and I feel like, wow, like who am I? It was just 7 days.
Yeah, and we talked about this. We talked about this week where I was just sharing that the reason I feel it is so transformative is because we are dealing with choice and we're dealing with putting things. I love the feeling of putting things in and letting that do the work it needs to do and naturally letting that leave less and less room for the things we don't need.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. That feels really good to me, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that feels good for a lot of people too. And so I think that's why that those 7 days, this detox specifically, is so special, because we really are focusing on what we're putting in rather than you just feeling like you can't have anything.
Yeah.
And with that, you're in a position of, yes, being raw, yes, being vulnerable, yes, being open, because you're filling your body only with things that you probably wouldn't necessarily do on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And so naturally, that's going to leave less room for the things that we want our body to be able to expel.
Yeah.
And once that happens and you're in a position of making the choice around, like, these are the foods I'm putting in, you start to, I feel the emotional releases come because we are not in a position where we're choosing to fill the space like we used to.
Yeah.
So like we'd be stressed or stuff would come up and it'd be like, oh girl, let me go get me some candy or some ice cream or some this or some that.
Yeah.
And listen, like from us working together, I don't shame any food. Like there's nothing that you could tell me where I'm like, that's bad. Like I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
What I do know, however, is that there are certain things that fuel us, and then there are other things that may not support us as well.
Yeah.
And that's on an individual basis. And so it's more so about understanding that the choice, like understanding why we're making the choice that we're making. We are empowered with this choice to be able to fill our bodies with things that fuel and support us always. Then we start to go through kind of like this grieving process of realizing that maybe we haven't been making that choice. And so once your body and your mind catches up to that space, that's why around like day 3, day 4-ish, you're kind of like, whoa, wait a minute,
Yeah.
So when you asked the question earlier about the safest way to move through it or the safest form, I always say do it with support. Like if I can say anything, do it with support, because whether you're going through the method of kind of like stripping your body and not allowing yourself to have anything, or putting things in and allowing things to naturally find their way out, your body and your mind is going to go through a transformation and a movement, and it's going to feel unfamiliar and it's going to feel uncomfortable. But with that, I don't want to deem one right or wrong. I just know what has worked for me and my people. And so that's what I continue to share. And that's what I feel has been really powerful. And so regardless of how you choose to move through a process of cleanse or detox at all in life ever, do it with with support and consulting someone who knows how to hold that for you.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Okay, so let's talk about COVID-19. Lovely old COVID-19. Rona.
Lovely Rona.
Lovely Rona.
She's doing her thing.
Right? Doing the most out here in these streets.
The thing. Yes.
The most. But it's here. It's here for us. And why do you think COVID-19 is here? What is your take on the coronavirus? Why do you think it's here? And how have you been coping with it for yourself? Take a breather on that. Take a moment.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. Take a moment.
It is. So I will say that a couple things. First, I'd love to say why I think it's here for me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And with that, I think myself, along with so many others, are still figuring that out. Yeah. However, I do know that it has put me in a space of truly facing off with, like, not the last, because the journey, like, it's never over, it doesn't end, we don't like get there, but a lot of residual things, for lack of a better, like my stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of, like, the residue that was left that I didn't realize was still there. It was just kind of like this thin layer of dust that was still covering, my space. And I'm like, no, I cleaned, like, I wiped down, I wiped around it, I did the thing, I did the work. And then you're like, oh, but I'm still sneezing, like my allergies are still going crazy, I still see, like, dust particles, but, like, it's okay, we'll just kind of, like, put a fan on. And so it was like it turned the fan off, and the dust came down and settled, but not in a way of, like, calming, in a way of, like, it showed up, like, it appeared, the light was on, and it was like, oh no, girl, you gotta clean some of this stuff up. And so
you're missing a few spots.
So, yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, so you want to fight, Rona? I see it. I got you. I'm here. but like, on a, like, for real, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I've been I just did a live talking about being fully engaged with my present state, and it didn't have anything to do with being, like, present in the era of Corona. It literally just had everything to do with, like, being present in whatever space you are in life right now. And I realized that I was present, I was showing up, and I was there, and I was, like, soaking in, but I wasn't fully engaging. And there was a difference. And so I think that it has shown up for me to allow me to fully engage with my present, like, space, state, mindset, body, all of it. On a larger scale, as many people, have spoken about, and as we've seen evidence of, just, like, the world at large, I mean, for me, and, like, just what's been coming through, and my prayers, and my, my time of, like, silence has just been, we have been taking for granted the earth that holds us, the people around us, and we have been just kind of moving through. And I say we because it's a collective, like, we've all played a part in this, of just kind of moving through and not really truly taking care of what we have, and kind of, like, just sweeping things under the rug, so to speak, or, like, discarding what we think isn't necessary, or, like, what we think isn't useful. And it's coming back to show us that, like, we didn't have this thing under control like we thought. And So it's a time for me, at least, that I've seen that I think has been really important, of just like getting quiet, getting really, really quiet,
Yeah.
and listening a whole lot more and fully engaging a whole lot more. It's allowed me to stop and pause and not place all of my value in being quote unquote productive for the world. And really kind of like honing in on like, what do I want? What do I need? Like, since the beginning of this, I have been in a space of really like, I'm waking up intentionally and I'm asking myself every day what I need, but I am forever releasing the expectations around what it's supposed to look like. And that has been the thing that's been keeping me sane, because I'm a person who likes answers and control, and I'm very much so a Virgo who's like, I
Yeah.
need to know what's happening at all times.
Yeah.
Like, it's important to me. It keeps me safe. And we just don't know. Like, we just really don't know.
Yeah.
And so for me, waking up every day with a whole lot of intention, and my intention has strictly been to ask myself every morning, what do you need today? And that has been my coping, or my, sanity, or my saving grace. Like, what do I need? And then listening and then doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I've been trying to keep it like that formula, that simple. I
Yeah.
really have.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that and your process and being vulnerable and authentic about it, because I think we're all going through it for real. Okay, so I want to move into foods at this time that you feel will be helpful for to build immune system, to build our immune systems. Like what foods are you indulging in right now that would be great? That's good for your immune system that you could share with us. Like any helpful tools around food, and not the emotional eating and not going for all the junk and the sugar
Yeah.
and all the things. If you could share,
Yeah.
if there's anything that would be helpful at this time to help people get through their relationship with food.
Sure. Yeah. So just like as a rule of thumb, right? I always say, in terms of our food, if you can pronounce it, your body can digest it. If
Mm-hmm.
you can't, more than likely your body cannot either, or it's going to truly struggle with digesting it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just kind of like as a base level, like if you're wondering, because there is so much information out there about food and it can be confusing, and people are like, should I eat meat? Should I not? Do I eat all greens? Do I
Yeah.
do keto? Do I do well? Like,
Yeah.
there's so much information. So you are your own best advocate. You are your own best like experiment, and it is best to see what it is that works for your body. So let me just like preface all of that with all of this with that,
Yeah.
saying that like we are all individuals. What works for me may or may not work for you. Try
Mm-hmm.
it, see if it fits, and then move forward with it. I think
Yeah.
that's really important to say. So as far as the foods though, on a general kind of like fuel and support you, right? Like what will fuel and support you? So we want to go with whole foods, like I talked about first. So anything that has not been processed, not had any additives, not been refined. So as much as we possibly can, staying away from the sugars and going more, if you're looking for kind of like that boost, so to speak, like a lot of people are like, hey, I'm just feeling like I'm dragging. You really want to go with your healthy fats. So your healthy fats are going to look like the things that actually, like, fat is what fuels us. Like, don't be scared of it. Fat, it fuels us. So
But
you
healthy.
want to go with healthy fats, yes. So you want to go with your nuts and nut butters and avocado and oil. So any olive oils, avocado oil, grapeseed oil. You want to go with things like hummus. So these are all examples of healthy fats that are going to continue to fuel you.
Yeah.
And those are like the honestly some of the best things right now that you can have in your system, because they will keep you, they help your metabolism to round out, And they also give you the fuel that you need to get through your day. Like a lot of us are working from home and they're like, wait a minute, like
Mm-hmm.
this is not
Mm-hmm.
working. So starting there, that's massive. You want to take a look at your greens, right? So another rule of thumb is like having your, and you're getting like a preview into what you're even going to be getting in like future sessions for the next couple months, but
Uh-huh.
um but our greens, right? When we look at our dark leafy greens, that's where we want to look. So we want to look at our kale, at our spinach, um, at our color, like greens, but like there's many types of greens, right? As far as like collard greens and like things like that.
Yeah.
So that is where you're gonna get your B12 from, which is also gonna keep your system up and supported and fueled. You're actually gonna get a lot of vitamin D and a lot of vitamin K from them as well, which are also things that help with your mood, anxiety, depression. If we go through another spout where like the sun isn't out like this, it's really important to be able to get these things through your food.
Yeah.
So your dark leafy greens, that's what I usually make a smoothie every day. I get like 2 handfuls of my dark leafy greens and I just throw it in there. Smoothies are great ways to get everything you need at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not trying to figure out how to pick at it. And then in terms of your protein, so I've been focusing on lean protein. So anything that is not fatty, like saturated fatty, right? So I'm looking at like lean turkey meat, lean fish. If I'm gonna do chicken, something like a chicken breast, I stay away from like dark meat and different things that are going to be more fatty and just kind of soak up and drag our bodies down, but things that we can actually get nutrients from. So if you are in a place where you are eating meat, try to go with lean meats that don't have any antibiotics, are free range, are in a position where you're not, a lot of people get caught up in organic. And I just say whatever meat you're going to eat, make sure it's as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And then just remember too that like it's inevitable. We're in a time where things are crazy, stress is heightened. And so when you're eating the things that fuel and support you, if you're also choosing to go eat a cookie or go eat some ice cream, eat the cookie. Like
Mm-hmm.
and this is something I always share around holiday time. That's a great like little nugget for now also, right? Like think about Thanksgiving, right? And think about how we're all like, ooh, I'm gonna go over to auntie's house and I'm gonna eat all the things. So I'm not gonna eat breakfast and I'm not gonna eat lunch because I'm gonna save myself for dinner. And then you get to dinner and then you gorge and then you're full and then you're in a food coma and then you're just like, there's no rationale to it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your body's like, I'm starving. I have to eat everything.
Yeah.
So around holiday time, which can also be taken into now, is like fill your body with the foods that you need. I tell people, say around Thanksgiving, eat breakfast, fill your body with the foods that your body is asking for at that time.
Yeah.
Food isn't running out. We have an abundance of it, right? Even still.
Yeah.
And so wake up, eat your breakfast, have your lunch, have your dinner. Like don't go through, the more you fill your body with the food, with whole foods, the less your body tries to fill up with foods that are going to try to spike,
Yeah.
right? Which is always going to look like sugar. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with having the sugar. It's just a matter of not trying to use the sugar to fuel us.
Yeah. Good point. Great point. Awesome. Thank you for those tips. That's awesome. That's good for me too. It's still a good reminder, even though I'm working with you, but it's still good to know.
Yeah. And then last thing, sorry, herbs.
Yeah.
Herbs are, I see your face. Herbs are.
What kind of herbs you talking about here? What kind we talking about, Taylor? What kind you talking about?
I am talking about.
I don't know what kind of herbs I'm talking about. What kind you talking about?
I am talking about our oregano and our thyme and.
Got you. Just trying to be clear. Just trying to be clear. But
And I mean, listen, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. However, when it comes to food,
food.
yeah, or food, yes. Herbs are massively healing in our digestive tract, in our gut. Inflammation starts in our gut. That makes us more susceptible to being ill. So the best thing we can do to calm that or keep that inflammation at bay is to continue with anti-inflammatory herbs. So like, and spices. So like our turmeric, our gingers, our like onions as a whole, like anything that is going to be anti-inflammatory as far as our herbs and spices, put them in everything. I mean, like put them in everything that you can.
Cool. Could you add like oregano or like rosemary to a smoothie? Would that be weird?
You could add oregano. Some people will add oregano oil. It doesn't taste good, so I wouldn't recommend adding it to a smoothie. But you can add your spices to smoothies.
Okay.
Yeah,
Spices?
you can add. Yeah. You can add turmeric to a smoothie. You know, you
like
add
things like that.
You can add cinnamon. I put cinnamon in my smoothie every single day. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know. Awesome.
Ginger to a smoothie. You know, like you can do those types of things.
Okay. Cool. Wow, that was. Thank you. That was jam-packed. I love it though. I so love it because I feel like we all need some direction during these times. All right, so we're at the segment I like to call Vibing with Peta segment. This is one of my favorite parts of this video chat series, and it's where I have a bunch of questions that I just throw out there, and they're fun questions, and you just whatever comes to mind, just throw it at me. Cool. Okay. So my first question is, who is a significant figure, whether living or dead, that you would have liked to have met or to meet?
Ooh. Significant figure that I would like to meet. So, like coming off of the musical portion, India.Arie is somebody that I want to be in the space with and like have a conversation with. She's so significant to me, and I think to the world also. But she's my favorite, and I just think her medicine is like, it's gotten me through so much. So
yeah, wow, that's a dope choice, India.Arie. How's it go? In the video. Yeah, that's right. We took it back. Yes. All right. Next question. What celebrity, if you had a choice of a celebrity that you'd like to be stuck in quarantine with, a quarantine bay, who would it be?
Celebrity like love interest? Quarantine bay?
Or like somebody that but you're attracted to that you'd like to be stuck in quarantine with. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I asked you that.
Funny.
What's that?
Will Smith.
Oh, word. Will Smith. Okay. Interesting choice. Let me find out. You like you some fresh.
Don't judge me.
No judgment. No judgment here. Definitely an interesting choice, but awesome. Okay. Will Smith, quarantine bay, Taylor. Gotcha. Favorite quarantine snack you're munching on right now?
So literally, like almost every day, I have a piece of toast with almond butter and jelly and like strawberry jam. And it's like literally almost every day. I know it's not like that exciting, but I can't get enough of it right now. So I'm eating it.
Feeling that? You feeling it? That sounds good. All right. So tell me the current book, podcast. It's like a 4-part question. So favorite book, podcast, music or artist that you're listening to, and series that you're binging to right now.
Okay. So all of them?
Yeah, so you just answer them
Okay.
down the line.
Okay.
If it
Okay.
applies.
Book. Funny, it's right behind you. Actually, I'm reading The Untethered Soul.
Oh, wow.
Right now, like again, kind of, but also like going through it in a different frame of mind.
Okay.
Podcast. I so I love The Friend Zone because it's my favorite. I listen to it every week. And you get like wellness and laughter and TV and music and all the things in one. Book, podcast, artist.
Music or artist that you're bumping to right now?
I love me some Tom Misch, and he's been on like replay just this whole time. So I would say between Tom Misch and India Arie, they're like keeping me going.
Okay.
And Leanne LaHavas are like just floating me on through. And then a whole lot of just like vibey reggae also. Like anytime I have a moment and the sun is shining through, I'm just like in my room. Like it's just like keeping me up here. So
no, because you're Jamaican too, like me. Yadi, what's up? Whoop, whoop. So yeah, reggae feels are always good. And series. What series are you binging to right now, if any?
Little Fires Everywhere. I guess I'm not really binging because it's coming on like week by week on Hulu, but
Is
it's
it
like
good?
it's the best thing ever.
I started like the first.
Oh my gosh!
I saw the first episode and I was like, I'm not sure where this is going.
So
It seemed really slow, a slow burn.
It's a slow burn. I literally describe it as a slow burn.
Yeah,
that's how I describe it to everybody. But it's my favorite thing. It's I think one of the best dramas I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Good to know. So then I might just dive back into that. Cool. What, if anything, do you miss about your everyday life that you don't have anymore, or you're doing less of now being in quarantine?
Coffee.
Well, you can make that, can't you? You can make that at home.
You can, but I love like exploring new coffee shops. I just like there's something about it that feels really good to me. So anytime I'm in like I spend a lot of time in the car because when you work for yourself, you're like you got to find places to work regardless of where you need to stop. Yeah. And so I've found an affinity for like finding cool coffee shops that are tucked away and going to them, like a new one, whether it be week to week or every 2 weeks or something like that, outside of just going to my regular ones. And I miss that space.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
5, being a Whole Foods or a holistic food coach. What are, if you had 5 choices of food that you could eat for the rest of your life, only 5, what would they be? Only 5.
Specific foods.
Specific foods for the rest of your life.
Specific foods. I don't think I've ever been asked this question before.
I know you haven't.
Dang it, Peta! Okay. 5 foods. One of my favorite foods. Fish.
What kind of fish?
I need to name a specific.
Yeah, you only get 5. Yes. Yes, friend, you get to choose one fish.
Salmon.
Okay.
I
bet you're struggling with this question. I love it.
It's a struggle for so many reasons.
Just go whatever comes up.
Random, but like almond butter.
Okay.
Because I'm obsessed. Hard. This is really hard for me. I don't think
You never know. It might come down to that in these times. You just get
You're right, which is why I'm like,
things
I need to
from
be
your house,
strategic here.
right?
Good grief.
Grab things
Chips,
up.
because I am a chip fiend, like potato chip, like crinkle cut.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
chip.
you got salmon, you got nut butter, you got potato chips. We got two more.
Zucchini.
Zucchini. All right. It's your fourth one. It was number 5.
Oh, dang it. Wait.
You
Okay.
can't start over. No. Nope. It's not a start over.
Okay. And yam. Because I could like roast it. I could like this is terrible. There's so many going through my mind.
It's okay. It's just food and it's not real life. But I'm just saying, if you had to.
Yeah. That. Anyways, that's it. There, take it. I don't like this question.
Take it. That was too stressful. Or
I'm like sweating.
just 5 foods, Peta? No. That's awesome because I'm glad I asked that question because
Yeah. It really just did something to me. Okay.
thankfully food is abundant and we don't have just 5 choices. But it would be
That's
interesting,
why it's so
right?
hard. None of my foods made sense. Y'all don't judge me on the 5 foods that I chose and how they don't make any sense together. Just let me be, okay?
Right, last kind thing you did for someone.
Oh, I like that question. What was the last kind thing I did for someone? I What's the last kind thing I did for someone? This is like triggering me.
For a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I held well, I mean, it wasn't like a physical act, but I held a lot of space for an individual in my life over a very long period of like one period of time in one setting. And it was definitely very much so needed, and a lot of breakthroughs came from just kind of like being there and making myself available for it. So I would say that.
Awesome. Cool. And you're very good at holding space, I must say. That is why you're a great coach. So putting that out there. Last question. If you had one message for the world, what would it be? This is a Vybez traditional question I have to ask every guest. So one message, anything comes to mind, what would you offer?
It's a good question. I would say your body is worth trusting.
I felt that one. Thank you. So remind people, yes, trust yourself. It's the most important thing. That's all we got, right? Is ourselves. So
yeah, your body deserves it. It's worth trusting no matter what it's been through. No matter what it's carried you through. It's worth trusting.
Awesome. Thank you, Taylor Gordon of Divinely Wholesome. Please tell us where we can find you and all of your goodness.
Yeah, thank you. This was awesome. Thank you so much for having me and for entrusting me with this space.
Yeah.
So, Vybez is just, it's awesome. You can find me at Divinely Wholesome on Instagram. You can follow my Divinely Wholesome Facebook page. It's all one like one word, so there's no underscores, no nothing. So Divinely Wholesome on Facebook, Divinely Wholesome on Instagram. Email is also divinelywholesome@gmail. So it's always under Divinely Wholesome, and from there you can see, you know, everything I'm doing, everything I'm saying and speaking on, and all the things.
Yeah, all the singing, all the songs,
all the songs.
Yeah. So Also, if people wanted to be a part of your coaching program, your holistic food coaching program, um, what do you offer in that program? Just so people have an idea.
Yeah. Yeah, so we take a look at your life as a whole because I really believe in whole life healing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I offer you is the chance to kind of take a step back and basically recalibrate. And we create a blueprint for you, a sustainable blueprint for you to be able to move forward beyond working with me, to be able to make choices around your food that feel good, that fuel and support you, and that support the life that you have always wanted to live.
Mm-hmm.
So your food is an integral part of, and it is absolutely an integration throughout your life. So I offer you the ability to make choice around that, to make powerful choices around that, and to know that you can be in a space where you can maintain wellness. So, I mean, it looks like a lot of different things throughout the program between recipes and detoxing and looking at pouring in, we take a look and we're able to dive into the different spaces of your life, like we mentioned before, in our primary foods, and really flush out um, what isn't serving us anymore. We take a look at, what is adding to us, what's taking away, removing what we need to, keeping what we can, and adding in even more.
Cool. Awesome. And then how long are your programs? Because you offer different lengths.
Yeah. Yeah, so I offer a 6 month and a 9 month length program. Um, and it just kind of depends on where you're at and what it is that you're looking for, where you're at in your journey. And I'm also working on my group program right now. So that is going to be an offering as well. And that's specifically going to be geared towards those who are dealing with chronic illness and autoimmunity, because I really want to be able to create that safe space for us. And while I work with a wide range of people, that group program is going to be specifically geared towards those that are dealing with autoimmunity and chronic illness. So I'm still fleshing out those details. But as of right now, for one-on-one, it's 6 or 9 months, and we go through with 2 sessions a month, taking a look at any and everything in your life and how that's relating to the choices you're making around your food.
Cool. Well, yes, I hope a lot of people would be interested in your program. I can speak to it in saying it's done so much on so many different levels for me. So I appreciate you and what you do and your programs and your coaching and your just all the things. There's not enough I could say about you, but I appreciate you. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing all of your expertise and your wisdom and offering all of the magic and the things to get through this time. And yeah, I appreciated just this conversation and chatting it up with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Struggle with the 5 foods.
Don't laugh at me. One day I'll be able to explain why that was so stressful. But thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having this conversation with me and just, helping me to laugh and be here now. It was awesome. I so appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe we could do it again soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When everyone's not home.
When everyone's at home and there's not crazy internet problems. Yeah. So thank you again.
Absolutely will. You are so welcome. So welcome.